try to do is to give as many little like experiences and things that are different. Like, so you're in this room, let's say you're having an event here. I want you to walk away from this event, even though you were in this space, you experience other parts of this city and other businesses just by being in this room. So
Welcome to Beyond the Brand. My name is Mejiri Arijaje, and today I'm talking to April Burks. I know her as somebody that knows how to bring people together in ways that are impactful, stylish, and meaningful. April Burks is a powerhouse when it comes to event strategy, branding, curating spaces where businesses and wellness meet. So let's dive in. April, if you can tell them more about yourself.
Sure. My name is April Burks, and I am the owner, founder, CEO, whichever one you want to call it, of Pink Social Strategies, which is a event production firm, but we also do a lot of the comms and marketing work behind the events to help spread the word and gain attendees and things like that. As well as I'm the founder of the Cheers to CEO initiative, which brings together women in business in different formats, everything from golfing to wellness and things like that.
You were just setting up for a golfing event prior to you coming here. So tell me more about that. And let's talk about, life. How's that treating you as well?
So I was over at the Walnut Lane golf club because they just got a brand new clubhouse that I wanted to check out, and I was looking to do another golf event. I did one last year that completely sold out at the North Hills Country Club, where we had about like 40 women come, and we had different stations where they were able to work on chipping, and I don't know all my golf terms, but I think there was a chipping station, a driving station, and a putting station. And they learned all those various skills as it relates to golf. And then after that, we had like a really fun brunch with the DJ and everything. So this year I'm working on something similar, something a little bit different, happy hour style event. And then I'll probably do the golf brunch at the country club as well in June. But so that's what I was just working on, touring the facility and just talking with Madison, one of the golf instructors over there, about like the format, how things could be set up, and hoping to not only support women and teaching them these skills and men for this event, but also somehow financially supporting First Tee, which is like a nonprofit.
Do you yourself golf?
So last year I started learning. Okay. I have not golfed the full game, but I know how to I know how to swing. I know how, the basic posture and all of that. And I'm hoping that by this summer that I can at least do like a 9-hole game.
9-hole, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not the full game. Yeah. What's the full? The full is what, 18. I can never make the 18.
Have you golfed?
I golf. My dad golfs a lot.
Oh, y'all have to come to my event. Yeah, you have to come.
He's been trying to get into it. So a lot of my friends are getting into golfing as well. So I've been going out with them.
Yeah.
And by the time I do like 9 holes, but by the time I starts to get like 13, 14, I'm like,
it's tired. Yeah.
It's time to get out of here.
I just got tired of feeling like, there was a space where not just women, but people of color. I'm so glad to see like people of color doing more golfing, but that we were kind of like left out of that space and these deals made on the green. And even when you watch TV and things like that, it's like, that's one of the things that, invite you out to golf. It's like, well, I want to come. Yeah. So I'm like, if I can just at least learn the basics, I'm not going to be a golf pro probably, even though I've been told that my swing is actually pretty good. I want to at least be able to learn the basics, and I want to be able to hold a basic conversation and buy cute shoes and outfits. So why not?
Why not, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I know you said you wear a lot of hats, from event planner to strategist to entrepreneur. So did you always know that you always be in this space, and like what journey did you take to kind of get here, and any unexpected turns?
I think it's interesting because like at first I felt like I didn't know that I would always be an entrepreneur. But then when I was talking to my mom and she like reminded me of things that I was doing as a kid, I was like, oh, right. Like when I was a kid, like I would like have her pack me like extra stuff for lunch, and I would sell the extra stuff to kids at school. Like I'd be like, oh, I need 4 tasty cakes. And my mom would be like, okay. And I would be selling and giving them out. And then I remember making like homemade Play-Doh and like going to it was random. My dad used to every year go to the Don Rosen BMW car dealership in BMW when they had this annual sale, because he only wanted to use car wicks from that they sold at this dealership. And so when they had this big sale, they would also have like a hot dog stand and you could test drive the cars and all of that. So I remember one year, I don't even think I was school age, I made homemade Play-Doh and put it in a basket and like sold it. And of course the adults bought it because it was from a cute little girl. Right, but it was like, that was like one of the earliest times I remember like having the entrepreneurial spirit, like, oh, I could make a couple of dollars selling this homemade Play-Doh. And so at first, I guess, you forget, because I took the traditional role. I went to college. I went to St. Joe's University. I majored in political science because I thought I wanted to be an attorney. And so, I kind of like got stuck in this very like traditional trajectory, like, oh, school, and then I'm just going to get a job and I'm going to climb the corporate ladder. I was always kind of like planning stuff on the side. Like even in college, I was like the president of Lake Student Union. So we were putting together a lot of events there. And then when I was working in HR, eventually once I kind of got my footing, I started playing like bar mitzvahs on the side and things like that. Cause I used to be, in college, I was a nanny on the main line. And so I started like they hired me to plan events and stuff. So I was always like into hosting like dinner parties and themes, all that kind of stuff. So I always like loved putting together events and bringing people together. But was very busy with work, and I thought that I wanted to kind of like move up and be like a director of HR. And eventually I was like, I really don't like this. This is for the birds. Because it's just weird working in HR. HR is like the watchdog of everybody else, but nobody's watchdog in HR. You're just kind of hanging out there, right? And all this kind of stuff, and you can't talk to the other people that work with you about it because everything's, I just was
confidential.
Like, I was over it. And I was getting married, so I was like, I got a wedding to plan. I don't have time for this. I quit working there, working in HR, and in between, I knew I had the skill of taking care of kids, so I kind of like was like, oh, I'll get a couple nanny jobs or whatever, part-time jobs. Eventually, I was like, all right, I can't be a nanny forever, even though that's a good career, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. And one of the people that I was watching their children was like, well, if you're leaving, I have a job for you at my company. And so I worked at the company for a year. My title was technically like director of operations, but it was very much event centric. I realized my talent was really in events because I was really leading a lot of the events as like the lead consultant for that company. And so I kind of set myself a timeline, like, okay, you're gonna do this till this date and then you're gonna leave. And shortly after I left, it's interesting because I had in my mind, I'm starting a business, and my husband at the time, he was working in workforce development for a nonprofit called Episcopal Community Services. And the marketing, she was like the chief of marketing or whatever, Molly, had said, oh, we have this job in events, because the person who was doing events actually left to go to law school, interesting enough. And I was like, well, I said I was gonna start my own business. I really wanna stick to that. Can y'all be a client? And she was like, why not? And so I worked with them for like 3 years straight on like all their event needs, and it was great. And then one of the jobs that didn't hire me ended up coming back to me, and they were like, oh, well, it didn't work out with that person that we hired instead of you. And so I was like, well, you can be a client too. And so that's kind of how my business got kicked off. But of course, then from like word of mouth and stuff like that, to have my own business.
So was it always called Pink Social Strategies?
It was, because I thought I wanted it to be a social media company.
I see.
And so I named it Pink Social Strategies because another interesting fact about me is I had another company that was actually voted Philly's best and was in Philadelphia Magazine in, I think, 2020. It was a textile, like I made like bow ties, women's accessories, all that, and that was called the Pink Lapel. I love the color pink.
And that was your company as
yes,
well?
That was.
So what was the pink signify to you? Because I see your social media, you wear pink. I thought you were gonna come in pink.
Yeah, I should have. So I love pink, but also I don't know if people refer to it now, but years ago they used to refer to a certain shade of pink as millennial pink. Okay. And so it was kind of an ode to that as well, because I've been fortunate, a lot of my friends are entrepreneurs. So some people, it's like, was it scary? And I'm like, it was scary, but like, all my friends I hang with, we all own businesses. Yeah. And I think because like we all came out of school in a recession. And then when we started getting jobs, our pay grade was not as high as it should have been. Yeah. And I think we realized like we weren't really gonna be making that much of a good living or really high earners working in these jobs. So most of us kind of like had a job, started with a side hustle and branched off and made it full time, including like my husband, who's now a full-time entrepreneur as well. So that is kind of was an ode to the millennial pink. It's the millennial in me. I always say that kind of like gave me the strength or the courage to be like, I'm gonna start my own business.
Yeah, and I know just from looking at the events that you kind of throw as well, they seem like more of like movements, you know, it's like high energy, powerful.
Yeah.
Like what do you think really makes your events really stick with people, and like who are you trying to specifically target when you host these events as well?
So I think that the kind of events that I kind of plan just literally changes with the times, because when I first started, I was with ECS, but then also like I was working on, I felt like with a lot of tech space. I did a lot of work with Technically Philly. Chris Wink over there has always been supportive and referred a lot of clients to me and things like that. And so at one point I was kind of very much in the tech space, which was interesting because I don't know what the hell blockchain is. I don't know any of it, but I do know the event, and I am good at learning at that time what that client wants to see in the events and stuff like that. And so it just kind of like varies from time to time. So what you're talking about though, like a lot of the like funner, bigger activations, they really came about, a lot of them this past summer because of the election happening. And so I had a client, Show Up Strong 24, which is is a part of the Voter Project. And they were looking for any means that were ethical to get young people, young urban people to vote. And so what I loved about working with them on that team, I loved working with everybody over there, was that they pretty much were like, you know, these are the goals that you have. These are the perimeters. These are the legalities behind it. Like we had Ballard Spar was like our attorneys that kind of like let us know what we could legally do and not, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And other than that, you figure out how you get to the goal.
Yeah.
And so that was like, so I was like, great, I'm about to like support my community. I'm about to do it all. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to a Black-owned brewery. The residents that came had a free barbecue truck. I had Chill Moody do a whole pop-up of Moody's Clubhouse with live music. We had the Eagles game playing outside. And we had a Two Locals beer garden outside. So
that's awesome.
So I think that what I try to do is to give as many little like experiences and things that are different. Like, so you're in this room, let's say you're having an event here. I want you to walk away from this event, even though you were in this space, you experience other parts of this city and other businesses just by being in this room. So encouraging activations that is representative of the brand. Like I could just buy Two Locals beer and I could just serve it here, but I would rather buy the beer and have McGinn Stewart Rich actually set up a table and be able to also interface with the people and talk about the story behind the beer that they made. So I loved doing those events, and it pushed me to I had to get comfortable with almost realizing that like underneath my many titles or whatever is organizer. Because that's what that is. You're organizing people to get them to be civically engaged. You're organizing them to vote. And I love doing it. It was funny because I kind of like ran from politics only for them to come back. Because I had majored in political science in college and was like, I'm not doing this. I don't care about materialism and constructivism and all those types of theory. I'm not doing this. And then when I was working for the consulting firm, they actually worked a lot with political figures and things like that. And I was like, I don't really want to work with political figures. I want to do other work. I want to work with technologists and I want to work with nonprofit, because I kind of left that and then was always like, I'm not working with politicians. I don't want anything to do with politics. Only to come back to these events where, no, I wasn't necessarily working directly with politicians and things, but
they pay. Does grassroots pay?
Exactly. And every life is political. So that's why I always say I'm not mad that I got a poli-sci degree because I can talk anybody into anything and I can argue any point that I want to. So I learned that I loved it because I learned it's nice to kind of see your results and see that, especially when you meet people who didn't really understand the voting process, didn't understand the laws. One of my favorite things was I went to a halfway house with an organization called Elevation Project, and I gave them bags of do-rags, brushes, combs, toothpaste, all the stuff that they need to encourage them to come and like just check their voter registration. But a lot of them didn't just check, they decided that they also wanted to register. So we registered 30, 40 people of reentering citizens who, you know, some of them were like, I had been locked up for like 17 years. Some of them thought they
Probably
couldn't.
didn't know,
Yeah, some of them thought they couldn't legally vote, and they could, depending upon their circumstances and everything. So I do love doing those events. And it was just like God, or, you know, was pushing me to kind of like
get in that space.
Exactly, yeah.
How did a brand like that find you? Did you have to pitch yourself out to them, or they were just like, hey, April, we've seen you work, we love what you do, and we want to work with you?
So the interesting thing, it's just so funny. Normally clients come like word of mouth, like somebody refers them and then we meet and I give them a proposal. This client, I had a friend, Suzanne, who followed this guy on Instagram who posted about it because he was already kind of a part of the team and he knew they were looking. So he just was spreading the word. His name's Leonzo, and Leonzo had posted like, hey, you know, looking for events, blah, blah, blah. And so my friend she forwarded to me, I said, can you DM him and tell him I'm interested? And so she was like, sure. And so then Leonzo was like, well, you know, email me your resume and then also apply directly. And so like, I didn't really know Leonzo, but it was interesting. He just looked out. Like he saw a young Black woman in, and he's like, this team needs a little bit more color and local people. And he pushed it. And so I had an interview. And the next thing you know, I interviewed with them, and the next week they were like, you got the job. I thought it was a scam until the first check cleared, because I was like, y'all really paying me to, what? Like, you know, so that's kind of how that came about. But the person I interviewed with also went to St. Joe, so of course I played up on that, Go Hawks.
Yeah. So a lot of times, a lot of your new business does come from word of mouth, social media? Or? Yeah,
not really. So, not really so much social media. If there is any, it would be like maybe LinkedIn would be more my client, because most of my clients are all businesses, nonprofits, things like that. So they might be kind of be on social media, but like as far as Instagram, definitely they're not really on Facebook. But most of maybe LinkedIn. And the people on LinkedIn are probably people where it's like I already knew them, but then when I'm posting, then they notice. They're like, oh, I've been meaning to connect, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of it is just through like word of mouth. I work with one client. Sometimes the people actually come to that event and they're like, oh, I came to this event you playing for so can you help or work with me, that kind of thing.
And how does that whole process look like? You know, let's say you get a client right now, they have no idea what they want this event to be like, anything like that. You know, what does your step-by-step look like when planning an event and to actually build community and build brand loyalty for just another random brand that's not yours?
I think the first thing is, the first step is always like understanding and putting out there what the goal is, and that's going to help you plan out the event. You know what I mean? If your goal is brand visibility, then we're going to want to like definitely have a larger budget for branding and putting your logo all over everything and giving out swag, or, you know, whatever it is that people can take away. And we're going to want to have some point in there or some way to express like what your brand story is and stuff like that. If your goal is that you need to raise $250,000, it might be a little bit different. Yeah, you still want some branding in there, but the real goal is the storytelling and people understanding why they should, you know, donate to you, and also like what your impact is to the whatever community or whatever you're raising money from. So I always like to start out with what the person's goals are with the event, and then what metrics would make you happy at the end. Yeah. You know, if it's, you know, $30,000 raised, or if it's getting 30 people on your email list because you just want the contact information. That's how I kind of work from. Okay.
And do you feel like when brands are, you know, giving you that budget to plan an event, do you feel like they're trying to make it more corporate, or like they give you that free reign to kind of do like, hey, let's make it personal and make it more authentic? You know, how do most brands typically work with that?
It really varies, because, well, for one thing, when you're working with nonprofits, it's interesting because some of that varies on how much the board is involved, and like if your board is, that's 14 individuals who all have an opinion, plus the staff within there. Also, a lot of times when an event has been done for 10 years, you know, they have a lot of opinions of like, well, last year we did this, last year we did that. Now, sometimes you have people where they're like, oh, we're tired of what we were doing last year. So yes, please break it apart, make it different, do what you want to do. But it definitely, I can't really say it's I can't really say that it's like one or the other. It really varies, and I don't really care.
Yeah.
Either way,
It's like a
you know,
square.
I don't,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. All right, so they don't really give like a direction. They're like, April, do your thing.
Yeah, that's cool. And if they
Yeah.
give direction, that's fine too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As long as they just have reasonable expectations.
Yeah, of course. What's the largest event that you've ever coordinated, and what tools do you typically use to make sure that like your events go well as well?
Largest event. I mean, there's been events where I haven't been like the only coordinator at the event. I've had we all had different roles, and that event had like 10,000 people. An event where maybe under my company, like, you know, since I've been on my own, and it was just like I was the lead on there, a couple thousand people probably, that I can think of right now, because I'm always forgetting stuff that I've done. But I guess the tool, I mean, well, there's a couple. One thing I won't say is a tool, but is like having the right people work with you, and having people who are resourceful and have common sense. And I know it sounds simple, but it goes a long way to be able to pivot. Like, you know what I mean? If you're because with events, especially the larger they get, you have got to be able to problem solve quickly. You've got to be able to pivot. Like, oh, we were going to do this. Oh, we can't do that. And I think that before the event even happens, the first thing I always come with is like, I always do like my run of show, which is like that, you know, minute by minute, hour by hour, what's happening behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, and who's responsible for those things. But as I'm looking at that, I'm looking at, okay, like what things are extra that might end up getting cut, you know, that we want to do but just can't, you know what I mean? What things, and then also looking at like what things do I need a backup plan for?
Yeah.
Oh, if this doesn't work, then this works, or that works. Or, oh, we're going to stream it. Let me put it on a flash drive in case the stream doesn't work. You know what I mean? Kind of like looking at those things. But I love spreadsheets, so that's kind of like my biggest tool is everything going into a master document spreadsheet with many tabs and sharing it with everyone.
Is that Excel or?
I prefer Excel, but I end up using Google Docs a lot because it can be real time, edited by multiple people, and that way my clients can also see the docs and do what they want. But I would prefer Excel has functionality that Sheets cannot do yet.
I know things can never be perfect when it comes to planning an event. So like, what's the biggest like event mishap that's ever happened? Like, that was just like, oh my God, like how did this happen? I planned so much for this.
I think, so I've never had an event mishap that we weren't able to recoup or like fix. But I think one of the most stressful situations was I had an event in Martha's Vineyard, and it was a film screening. And have you ever been to the Vineyard?
No.
So in August, it's like a big thing for like professionals and Black people to come to the Vineyard. I mean, they go to the Vineyard all year long, but August is like the month. They have the Black Film Festival, and there's like a lot of companies out there doing different events and things, a lot of nonprofits.
Is that in New York, right? Martha's Vineyard?
It's Massachusetts. It's off of Massachusetts.
Oh, you ever watch the Bravo show? There's like a Bravo show.
I watch it, but
like
they go during the off season.
It's like the black people.
So I'm a reality TV junkie, so I have seen that. They go at a weird time that's kind of off season normally. This past season they went a little bit closer to the normal season in August, but previously I was like, why are you in a coat? Like, where are you? But anyway, so that's the same place. So brands from everywhere do stuff there. I mean, anything you could think of, from large law firms to whatever. And so I had this film screening, and it was a film it was an interview with the executive director of my client and Nikki Giovanni. And so we had the screening, and like when they first wanted to play the screening, it did not play. It like was buffering. And so that was probably the worst moment ever, because I knew that was a pain point of my client. And in fact, I went there the day and I ran through it, and it was fine.
Oh, wow.
But Martha's Vineyard is a challenging place to play at events. So of course the venue's having internet issues or whatever, and I had it on a flash drive, couldn't find the flash drive.
Oh, no.
Anyway, they ended up figuring it out, like just downloading it, and then, you know, it played just fine. But the whole time that 45-minute film was screening, I was like, please do not let it stop. And buffer, because the filmmaker was there to do a talk back afterwards. Yeah. And so I'm just like, please do not.
Just hope it, just prayed.
So that was probably like, that I could think of now, probably like the worst. Yes, and the events turned out great and people loved it, but that little 10 minutes was like hell.
No, it's like you just don't know what's gonna happen, right? Yeah. That's funny. So entrepreneurship is a lot. So how do you keep pushing forward without, you know, burning out, especially when like dealing with all the different life challenges that, you know, people come in?
That's a good question. So I think that I'm still learning and mastering that. I think like last year I kind of realized like I'm learning like what my slow seasons are. So the best time for me to like, cause I used to just like take a vacation whenever, and then I would be like overwhelmed cause I would work on my vacations. They wouldn't really be vacations. And then like last year I kind of like figured out like the best timing for me to go on vacation is kind of like late May, early June, because it's before all the outdoor summer events start, and you know, I'm running and traveling for that. And then like things slow down by like November, December. So then so I really like from like after like the second or third week of December to like February, I was really like doing the minimum of work. I wasn't really, you know, I just had to take a break and recharge. And my clients like knew that. And I only had like maybe 2 clients that kind of needed me for a meeting here and there. But yeah, I just feel like I kind of learned that cadence of like when I can kind of like recharge and rest, but also learning to be more, setting better boundaries.
So you're not working 24/7.
Yeah, and all weekend, and just like now I really don't schedule a lot of meetings on like Mondays and Fridays because I use Mondays to do like admin stuff, because like I was like working and I wasn't even invoicing people. I was like, where the hell's my money at? You know what I mean? So it was just like using Mondays to do that, and then using Fridays to like go to the chiropractor and things like that for myself.
Whole wellness.
Yeah. So I mean, you're always, especially because I have a almost 3-year-old now. Oh, wow. So you're always like
trying to balance that, right?
Yeah. I feel like we're in a good groove now, but then, you know, he could get 3.5. It could be a whole other story. Right now we're working on potty training, so that's a challenge, but you know.
So just to go back a little bit, I know you recently talked about hosting a wellness retreat. If you want to talk more about that, what that means to what that means to your community, what wellness habits do you practice that's been a game changer for yourself and continue to move forward?
Okay, yeah. So the event that I had was that I held on Sunday was at a Black-owned, woman-owned spa in Roxborough. And it was really great. So we had like little like mini services. People could get like a chair massage, get a hand massage. They could pop in and speak with the chiropractor that I actually use, Dr. Tripp, and talk.
Zach.
Yeah,
I have him on next.
Oh, cool! Yes. So he came and he did like like mini consultations, because he's really working on this total wellness thing, and it's not just about chiropractors, but full circle. And so people were able to speak with him, and then we also had a little discussion, like a fireside chat situation that I led between him and Dawn, the owner of Redwood Spa, and people were very engaged in that, and they had a lot of questions for them. And we had like refreshments and champagne, and then we had like really good food from Kim Cooks, which is a caterer I use all the time for events. And it was just like a place for people to just, we had a like meditation room with aromatherapy.
Man, I missed this.
And tea, and just people just could be quiet and just exist. And I had journals with journal prompts around. And so it was really just also just space for women to just come and just relax and not worry about things and learn how to, not so much learn, but be reminded to take care of themselves. Because we all kind of know what we need to do at this age and whatever, but we need to be reminded of it. And so it was like, come to this and like recenter, because it's kind of still the first quarter of the year. And there's so much going on. Like I'm not gonna get into politics, but it's a lot. It's not so much. It's not just the politics; it's how they affect our businesses, our livelihood. Everyone's kind of like they don't know where to go. So you have all your home stuff, your work stuff, and now you're adding that into the mix too. Yeah. And so people are like really, really stressed, and they forget just taking like 10 seconds to just do breathing exercises could change things a lot. Yeah. And so I was glad to see a lot of people talk about how they were going to like prioritize that and better. So that event. It was a wonderful event. And for me, I guess you said what wellness things what
wellness habits do you practice that's been like, hey, I need to get this in when I'm feeling stressed, or less help me really alleviate some pressure?
Yeah, I think so. There's like a couple things, but for one thing, unfortunately this day and age, it could be like super expensive to like take care of yourself. So right now I have a trainer, chiropractor, and a nutritionist. Thank God the nutritionist is covered by insurance.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Look into that.
And I meet with the nutritionist pretty much weekly, virtually, and she's kind of like a food therapist, honestly. She really like helps me, but she really helps me a lot with the balance, because she approaches it like it's not just me working with you on your diet, right? Like if you don't have your life set up or whatever, certain kind of ways, you're not going to hit these goals. They're not going to become habits. So when I first started working with her, it was basic things like trying new breakfast foods so that I eat breakfast every day. You know what I mean? Creating a bedtime routine, because I really didn't like have one.
Scroll.
Yeah, well, I still scroll, but there's still things now that are a little better, right? Yeah. Like that I do. Like at night I take vitamin D, I take vitamin C, I have bad allergies, so I take allergy medicine. I put on a humidifier. I make sure the temperature in the room is right, and then I scroll too. But then now I also listen to audiobooks to help like bring me down, and I try to go to bed a little bit earlier. So I guess for me, those types of things like help is like somewhat of a routine, and then I do massages like every month too, like do tissue massages. So that obviously like helps you relax and stuff like that. So
just getting more on a routine and an actual.
I think that helps with stress. Yeah. More routine. And I think organization helps with stress. And I say this because if I find myself getting off of my like organization when it comes to work, then when I'm working during those hours, I'm not productive. And so if there's if the productivity is not there during the work day, then after the work time, I'm feeling like, damn, I didn't get this done. I got 15 things, I got 15, all of this, you know what I mean? So I think trying to be organized, putting things in Asana, putting things on my spreadsheet and all that kind of stuff helps me to actually be able to relax at 8 o'clock when the baby goes to sleep, and I can watch TV other than like pulling out the laptop and
doing more work.
Yeah,
that's understandable. So if you can go back to when you first started, like, what's one thing that you would tell yourself, and what are the lessons learned that's kind of stuck with you as well in doing business?
I guess that would be like two things. It would be like, number one, like I would have charged more. I think sometimes
your price was too low.
Yeah, when I first started. Not so much my first two clients that I talked about earlier, because they were good, but other people in between, I was like, oh, portfolio builders. And honestly, the portfolio builder clients work you the most. The ones that you discounted or did way too low, but you're like, oh, it's gonna help me get other businesses, or other business often doesn't, and it stresses you out the most and works you the most. So I would stick to like my pricing structure and what I was worth. And then the other thing would just be like setting like client boundaries from the beginning. I'm very good with that now, but in the past I had like too many clients that would text me at odd times, would act, like it's things that are not an emergency, they treat them like an emergency. Like, what do you want? You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So like setting those boundaries and sticking to the scope of work when I say boundaries, because often my scope might say this, but then I do above and beyond because I want the event to be fabulous and I want my client to know this. And meanwhile, they're like, oh, great. But then if they come back to you, they expect you to keep doing it.
Yeah.
But also, it's just like, no, I said I'm going to do this and I'm going to work on doing these things well, and that's that.
Yeah, it's like, because if you go over that, it's like that's just the expectation now.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're curating your dream retreat. Money's not an object. Where's it at? What's the vibe? What are y'all doing?
So that's hard. Where is it at? It would be between three places quickly. I would say Aruba, I love Aruba, Puerto Rico, or I haven't been, but I would love to go to like St. Martin or whatever.
Okay.
So it would probably be, cause I love beaches and I love pools. So it would be probably one of those places. I would have like world-class chefs coming in making food. I love food.
Yeah.
I would have world-class chefs coming in making food. I like things to be like very interactive, so I would have like yoga and boats. I love boats. Whenever I go somewhere, even for work, I try to fit in a boat. Like when I went to Martha's Vineyard, I chartered a boat the one year. Like I'm like, me and my friends got a boat. So it would definitely be a boat ride in there somehow. It would be some dinners on the beach. It would be yoga. It would be a spa day. And then I would fly in one of my like mentors, Kathy Ramiro, who's a fantastic like business coach. She's like the GOAT of event planning. I mean, she's just worked with so many famous people, from Fat Joe to she did like Gucci Mane and Keisha K. Orr's wedding.
Oh, wow. I saw that wedding. That was
but like that really scratches the surface of her, to be honest. Like that's what she's known for, but she's done way bigger, but you know what I mean, than that even. But I would fly her out because she's an awesome business coach, just not for event planners, but just in general, like people, you know. So I would have her come in and like really like get into the crux of things and people's businesses and what's stopping them from moving to that next step. I would do sound bath, healing. And then I would do like some nighttime outings where it's just like, I love live music.
Yeah.
So like full on live bands, music, dancing, that kind of thing.
Who would be your dream partner, your dream brand, or somebody that you just like to sit down and just have a conversation with and work with?
It changes. It really changes. It's hard, but there's a couple. I mean, and I don't know. I can't think right now, but like, I would love to talk to like a they call her Bose St. John, who was like the chief marketing officer of, she's a Black woman of like Netflix and like all these other companies, and now she's on Housewives of Beverly Hills, which I love all Housewives seasons.
What's her name?
Bozomo St. John.
Okay.
And so she's been with Netflix and some other large companies, and now she's kind of like, she started her own hair company that's based in, I think it's in Ghana, as opposed to a lot of them being made in Asia. She started her own hair company where it's sourced from there, and she has these like workshops. She's just a powerhouse. St. Marshall, who was the first Black woman like CEO of an NBA team, would love to like talk to someone like her. There's like the Fawn Weavers from Uncle Nearest. Like any of those
women CEOs.
Yeah, but like they have been the first or really done some thing, you know what I mean? Like how did you know, get there situation. But yeah, those are the first ones right now that come to mind.
All right, some fun questions for you. I know that you're a foodie, so we can start with, what's your favorite go-to drink at a restaurant?
Well, it depends on how I'm feeling, but I guess the most classic April drink is a Manhattan with bullet bourbon.
Okay. What's your spot in Philly, your go-to Philadelphia spot?
For a drink or food?
Food. You can tell me the drink as well, too.
Okay, so for a drink, there is a place that only spins vinyls. It's just like Speakeasy style. They don't have any food, but they have great cocktails. And it's called 48 Record Bar on 2nd Street. Okay. And I love that for after you eat. Okay. A spot to go to after you eat to just vibe. Okay. As far as food, it's hard to say because I'm thinking of places that I've been to recently. And so the places that I've been to recently that were really good was behind the red door at Vita. Okay. Because I love Italian food. That was really good. It's like the place where you look at it, it looks like they just sell gelato and they have a red refrigerator and you open it up and there's a whole restaurant back there. Oh, wow. That's super cool. And then I also had a really good culinary experience. I went to a newer spot called Dear Daphne, which is like Mediterranean food, kebabs, hummus, that type of thing.
It's pretty new, isn't it?
It's really new. And it actually didn't get a great rating from Craig LeBon, like who's the big food critic, but I liked it when I went a lot, and they had these lamb dumplings that were so good. So that's really good, but then I'm trying to think. There's like some places I mean, I also just like some good old fashioned like street food. When I was coming here, I was like, I know I got to get food from somewhere around here.
There's a taco spot over there.
Oh, I gotta get something from over there.
Really high rated. Yeah, they're really high rated.
But those are what I can think of right now. But a lot of that is just because those are the most recent great experiences that I've had.
Okay. What's one thing that people don't know about you, but they should?
I don't know what they don't know about me because I'm just kind of very much an open book for the most part. I'm just a Cancer that wears her heart on her sleeve. So it's not like I guess that I have my introverted moments and I have my time when I just want to be alone too in the quiet. Yeah. And people just expect me to always want to be around people and they expect me to thrive at networking events all the time. And sometimes I do and sometimes I just
myself.
I just can't handle it, depending on how empty my like extroverted tank is. So I guess it's like, I enjoy alone and quiet time just like everyone else sometimes.
Right, awesome. And if you had to plan an event in 24 hours, what would be the first thing that you would do?
Plan the event in 24 hours? Start reaching out to venues. I mean, you need a place to have the event. You need a place to have the event and first, and then from the venues go into like my like, I probably would simultaneously just text all my go-to vendors and my go-to videographer, photographer, caterer, like, hey, are you available? Yeah. But I would first make sure that the client has the funds to pay double, triple the cost. Because honestly,
24 hours.
Right, in 24 hours, that's the thing. People always ask me, is this enough time to plan this? Do you have enough money? Because you're looking at rush fees and all that kind of stuff. Even printing a sign could be more expensive.
Sign,
so that's will be question. How much money do you have? And then looking at a venue.
Yeah. And what would be your number one advice for anybody that's looking to grow a brand or anybody that's looking to get into what you're doing? Or even a young woman out there that wants to start something for herself?
That's a good question. So I feel like I'm gonna sound really old, but don't underestimate the experience you get from working with for somebody else first. Because like most of people my age, we had jobs and then went off. But now the people that are younger than us, they're like graduating from college and starting businesses right away. Oh, I majored in entrepreneurship. Great. But then you don't really have any idea how an inner workings of a company should be because you never worked for any other company to see what you do and don't like and what HR is and what's appropriate to say to your staff member and what's not, or, just what an SOP is and all that. You don't know because you never worked for anybody but yourself. You just kind of like jumped out there. So I would say that, before, unless you're rich and you just can just play around, I would say like to find a mentor or someone, at the very minimum, a mentor, but like ideally, like go work for someone else who does something similar or does something well. Maybe it's not the same business you want to do, but they do the business they do well, and like work for them for a year first and see what it's like and see the real behind it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming out to.
Thank you. I feel like I talked a whole lot.
No, that was great. No, that was great. No, I really appreciate you coming out to speak with me. So you want to tell people how to connect with you, how they can follow your journey and see what you're building, and tell us what else you have planned in the horizon.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram under April M. Burks. M as in Mary, all together, April M. Burks. You can find me on LinkedIn under April M. Burks, and Burks is Burks. There's no E's in my name. And at pinksocialstrategies.com, you can go on there. There's also a link if you want to like schedule a meeting or a consultation with me to pick don't come picking my brain unless you really need an event. But but if you want to meet and talk, you can go on there and schedule a meeting. Or you can sign up for our email through our website as well. And then just look out for, upcoming events. We have a Cheers the CEO event coming up, the golf event, May 16th, and we are going to open that one up to the guys. So yeah, just stay tuned.
Perfect, perfect. So if you got any value from this, make sure you hit the like, subscribe button, and drop a comment. Make sure you come check out the next episode of Beyond the Brand. Thank you so much, and have a good rest of your day.